Your plans are your own. Let your actions speak louder than words ever could. Work hard in silence. Let your success make the noise. Success isn't in the announcement. It's in the work you put in when no one is watching. You're capable of more than you think. But sometimes the biggest obstacle is believing in yourself. Every day you face challenges. But it's how you respond to them that defines your path. You don't need permission to start, and you don't need to wait for the perfect moment. Success doesn't come from waiting. It comes from action. It comes from showing up every day. Even when it feels hard. Even when it seems like no one notices. Remember, the only approval you need is your own. You have everything inside you to achieve your goals. The journey won't always be easy, but every step you take, no matter how small, moves you closer to the life you want. Trust yourself. Keep pushing forward. And don't let anything stop you. The road is yours to create. It's time to take control and make it happen. Now let's dive in. Number 1. Protect your goals by keeping them to yourself. You don't have to tell the world what you're working on. You don't have to stand on a stage and announce your goals. You don't need a crowd of people cheering for you before you've done anything. The real strength is in keeping it to yourself and putting in the work when no one is looking. The more you talk, the more you give away your power. Every time you speak about your plans without action behind them, you weaken the commitment you've made to yourself. People are unpredictable. Some will encourage you, but many won't understand you. Some will doubt you not because they're against you, but because they've given up on their own goals. And when you announce your vision too early, their fear and doubt might become your hesitation. Protect your mind. Protect your path. When your dreams are young, they are fragile. That's when they need your silence the most. That's when they need your full energy, not scattered. Explaining yourself to others, but focused and steady in private. Discipline happens in the quiet hours. The hours when no one is watching. The hours when you wake up early, get your thoughts right, and do what needs to be done. That's where confidence is built. That's where results are born. It's not the announcement that creates the outcome. It's the routine. It's the structure. It's what you do behind closed doors. Some people spend more energy talking about the path than walking it. Don't fall into that trap. Your goals are not a performance. They're not a show for the world to watch. They are a personal decision. A commitment you make to yourself. A vision only you need to understand. And the truth is, when you begin to talk too much, you invite opinions that might distract you. Not everyone deserves access to your inner drive. Not everyone should be invited into that mental space where your goals live. That's a sacred place. That's where you meet yourself. That's where you push yourself. That's where you figure out what you're really made of. People will ask you what you're up to. People will want answers. But you don't owe them anything. You can smile and keep working. You can nod and keep moving. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to justify your commitment. You are not here to impress anyone. You are here to build yourself into someone you're proud of. That process does not require an audience. Real change doesn't start with shouting. It starts with action. Consistent action. Quiet action. Focused action. It begins when you make a decision to change your habits, to control your time, to do the things that are hard. It begins when you decide you want more and you're willing to do more to get it. That kind of change doesn't need a microphone. It needs effort. It needs patience. It needs your full attention. There is power in being unknown. There is freedom in being underestimated. When people don't know what you're working on, they can't interrupt your process. They can't slow you down. They can't distract you with questions or offer advice you didn't ask for. In silence you build. In silence you grow. In silence you prove things to yourself. And that's where the real transformation happens. Not in what others say about you, but in what you do when no one sees it. There is something special about showing up every day and doing the work even when no one claps. Even when no one notices. Even when the progress feels slow. That's when you become stronger. That's when you build something real. Because what you build in silence becomes unshakable. It becomes yours. And when the results finally show, they'll speak louder than any announcement ever could. The best part is that when people finally see what you've accomplished, they won't see all the struggle. They won't know how many days you worked in silence. They won't know how many nights you spent alone thinking, planning, doing. All they will see is that you made it. And they'll wonder how, but you'll know. You'll remember the mornings you didn't skip, the promises you didn't break, the goals you didn't share, the temptations you resisted, the moments when you wanted to quit and didn't. This is what separates the few who make it from the many who talk about making it. The ones who talk often need approval. They need permission. They want someone to say yes, go ahead. But the ones who build in silence have already said yes to themselves. They don't wait. They don't ask. They decide. They act. They keep going. There's something powerful about not needing to explain yourself, about not chasing validation, about not worrying if people understand. You don't have to explain your goals to anyone who's not willing to do the work with you. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. Your value does not depend on how many people believe in you. Your value grows with your discipline, with your consistency, with your ability to keep your word to yourself when no one's watching. Some people share their goals because they think it will make them more likely to follow through, but more often it creates pressure. It creates expectations. And if they fail, they feel ashamed. Not because they failed, but because others were watching. When you keep it to yourself, you give yourself room to fail and try again without shame. You give yourself permission to be human. You give yourself space to grow. Not everyone can handle your dreams. Not everyone has the mindset to support your ambition. And that's okay. Your path is yours. It doesn't need to be understood. It needs to be followed. That's the only thing that matters. Following your path, doing the work, building your discipline, creating something meaningful, not for attention, not for applause, but because it matters to you. And when you reach your goal, it will feel different. Not because the world noticed, but because you earned it with no shortcuts. You earned it with your own hands, your own effort, your own willpower. That feeling cannot be replaced. It cannot be given. It must be earned in the silence of your own work. You want confidence, keep your goals to yourself and work on them every day. You want peace, protect your plans from people who don't understand them. You want progress, show up when no one's looking. You want strength, stay consistent, even when it's not exciting. You want pride, keep building, until the results speak for you. Most people want results without the silence. They want recognition before they've earned it. They want credit before the effort. But it doesn't work like that. You have to build it when it's hard. You have to protect it when it's new. You have to guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. When you stay quiet, you stay in control. When you stay quiet, you stay focused. When you stay quiet, you learn more, feel more, grow more. You become more. And when the time comes, your work will speak. Your results will speak. And they'll say everything you never had to. Number 2, focus deeply without telling anyone your direction. When you decide to do something meaningful with your life, the first thing you must learn is the ability to focus. Not a scattered kind of focus, but a focus that's deep, centered, uninterrupted. The kind of focus that demands your attention without needing to be explained. That kind of focus is rare because most people want to talk about what they're doing before they even start. They want to share every idea, every plan, every possibility. But the truth is, once you let the world into your direction too early, you start to lose your focus. You open the door to opinions, questions, comparisons, and even your own doubt. You don't need that. What you need is to concentrate so fully that everything outside your purpose fades into the background. This is about choosing silence over noise. It's about placing your energy into the work, not the words. When you keep your direction private, you create an environment where your thoughts can grow without being interrupted. You give your goals space to take form without being bent by the weight of outside expectations. That silence creates mental clarity. It strengthens your commitment. It sharpens your discipline. And in that space, you discover how serious you really are. Focusing deeply means cutting out distractions that most people accept as normal. It means removing yourself from the constant need to explain, to prove, or to entertain others with your goals. This is your life, not a pitch. This is your mission, not a performance. When you stop telling people where you're going, you stop looking for approval. And that's when real work begins. You can't move forward at full strength if part of you is still looking sideways to see who's watching. You can't build anything solid if you keep pausing to explain every step. Most people don't understand that energy is limited. When you give it away by over-explaining or oversharing, you rob yourself of the very power you need to stay focused. Every conversation about your direction takes a small piece of your energy. Every explanation pulls your mind into places it doesn't need to be. The more you talk, the more you risk shaping your path to fit the expectations of others instead of the truth inside you. If you want to go somewhere important, guard your direction like it matters, because it does. There is something powerful about sitting quietly with your plan and putting it into action day after day without validation. There's something rare about someone who doesn't need to say a word but keeps doing the work, who doesn't post about progress but makes progress anyway, who isn't interested in being admired but is committed to becoming better. That kind of person becomes strong in ways most people never understand. They don't need the world's recognition. They don't even need to be understood. What they need is to move forward with clear purpose and full effort. When you focus deeply without announcing your direction, you develop a different kind of strength. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that needs a spotlight, but the kind that lasts. The kind that grows slowly, deliberately, quietly. That strength becomes a part of who you are. It stays with you. It's not shaken by failure. It's not inflated by success. It just keeps growing, because it's built on discipline, not attention. Every moment you keep to yourself gives you more control over your time, your choices, and your mental space. It's easy to talk. It's easy to post. It's easy to make promises in front of others. But all that does is create pressure. And pressure without preparation leads to stress. Deep focus without noise gives you time to get ready. Time to build your foundation before the world sees anything. Time to understand your own vision before others start judging it. That's where confidence begins. It doesn't start with praise. It starts with clarity. People often mistake silence for inaction. That's fine. Let them believe you're not doing much. Let them believe you've disappeared. Let them count you out. Because while they talk, you're building. While they post, you're working. While they discuss ideas, you're living yours. That kind of focus doesn't need defense. It doesn't need explanation. It proves itself when the time is right. This mindset isn't just about working hard. It's about working smart. It's about protecting your path from interference. Every voice that enters your mind can influence it. That includes praise and criticism. Both can be dangerous if you aren't grounded. Too much praise and you slow down. Too much criticism and you start to question your direction. When you keep things to yourself, you become the only voice that matters. You start trusting your own judgment. You start making decisions based on purpose, not popularity. This isn't a mindset most people follow, because it's not easy. It requires patience. It requires the ability to be with your own thoughts. It requires strength to keep going when no one is watching and no one is applauding. But that's the path to real growth. That's where you develop consistency. That's where you build a foundation that doesn't crumble under pressure. And once that foundation is strong, then the results come. And when they do, they come quietly at first. But they come with power, and no one can deny them. This kind of focus makes you sharper. It makes you more aware of how you spend your time. It makes you protect your schedule. You start avoiding distractions, people, conversations, and habits that pull you off course. You stop wasting time explaining where you're going and start using that time to move forward. Every hour becomes an opportunity. Every day becomes a step. And over time, that direction you've kept to yourself becomes a reality that others can see. But by then it won't matter what they think, because you've already built it. And the truth is, the journey feels different when it's yours alone. There's a sense of peace that comes when you're not performing. There's a sense of power in knowing you don't need constant feedback. There's a deep satisfaction in being able to say to yourself, I showed up again today. I did what I said I would do, and no one had to know. That's how you build confidence that lasts. That's how you grow without interruption. That's how you protect your mission from being shaped by anything outside of it. The world will always ask questions. The world will always want to know more. But you don't owe it anything. Not right now. Not while you're building. Not while you're preparing. Your time to speak will come, but it won't come through words. It will come through what you've built. It will come through results. It will come when your work is undeniable. Until then, stay focused. Stay grounded. Stay quiet. Let your energy go into action. Let your direction stay between you and your effort. That's where it belongs. Number 3. Build your habits alone without sharing your intentions. There is something deeply personal about deciding to change. You reach a point where you know that something has to shift, that you're no longer okay with how things are. At that moment, the last thing you need is a conversation. You don't need applause. You don't need a group. You need discipline. And discipline begins with building habits, quietly, firmly, consistently. The real growth begins when you choose to show up every day. Not for the world, not for validation, but for yourself. You start with a single action, and then another, and then you do it again tomorrow. Not once do you need to explain to anyone what you're doing. Your habits are not for show. When you start talking about your intentions too early, you hand over something fragile. You invite outside energy that might not be helpful. You start caring how people respond, and that changes your focus. You begin shaping your actions around how you're perceived instead of what you truly need. That's a dangerous path. It pulls you away from the quiet rhythm that habits require. When you're building something that matters, your attention has to stay with the action, not the announcement. Habits are built in moments that feel boring. They're built in the early hours, in the lonely evenings, in the times when no one would know if you skipped or quit. That's why it matters that you keep them to yourself. You don't owe anyone a statement of your goals. You don't need to say, I'm starting this now, or I'm going to change this. Because when you say it too soon, your brain tricks you into thinking you've already done something. But you've done nothing yet. Saying it doesn't make it real. Doing it makes it real. Every strong habit starts from within. You decide one day that you want to take control of your time, your health, your money, your mindset. You begin with one step, and you keep that step to yourself. Because this is your change, your responsibility, your standard. It's not a project for others to track or evaluate. It's something you do because you know you need to do it. And when you remove the audience, your intention becomes pure. You're no longer acting to be seen. You're acting to be better. If you want your habits to last, build them without noise. Keep your new routine between you and your calendar. Let your progress be quiet. Let your improvements be something you notice in the mirror, in your energy, in your focus, not something you broadcast. The more attention you give to talking about it, the less attention you're giving to actually doing it. And building habits demands full attention. It's about being there every day, even when no one is watching, even when there's no praise. Most people make the mistake of thinking accountability comes from telling others, but real accountability comes from integrity. It comes from saying to yourself, this is what I do now, and then doing it even when there's no one to check in. Especially then. That's when the transformation happens. When your behavior starts to change without anyone asking, without any pressure, without any recognition. That's when it becomes part of who you are. The less you share your intentions, the more space you give yourself to adjust, refine, and improve. You give yourself room to mess up, to learn, to start again without feeling judged. When no one knows what you're working on, failure doesn't carry shame. It just becomes part of the process. And the process is everything. Habits are not built in one perfect stretch. They're built in the decision to return, again and again, even after falling off. Silence gives you the safety to do that. There's a kind of peace in building habits privately. You start to develop a sense of control that isn't influenced by anyone else's standards. You begin to enjoy the small wins that no one sees. The morning you didn't snooze. The walk you took when you didn't feel like it. The extra hour you used to learn instead of scroll. These things are invisible to others, but they are powerful for you. And over time, they become your new standard. You wake up one day and realize, this is who I am now. Not because you said it, but because you proved it. You don't have to explain why you've stopped going out late. You don't have to justify why you're eating differently or spending less time on distractions. You don't have to tell anyone why you're choosing effort over ease. The people who matter will notice. The ones who don't, won't. And either way, it doesn't matter. This path is not about proving something to others. It's about keeping promises to yourself. And the fewer promises you make out loud, the more likely you are to keep the ones that count. Every day you choose a good habit over a bad one. You're casting a vote for the person you want to become. And you don't need an audience for that vote. You just need consistency. You just need patience. You just need to get up and do it again, even when it's not fun, even when there's no motivation, because this is how character is formed. Not in what you say you'll do, but in what you do when it would be easier not to. You will feel tempted to talk. You will want to post it. You will want to text someone. You will want someone to see how serious you are. Resist it. Keep it to yourself a little longer. Let your routine do the talking. Let your results speak over time. And if no one notices for a while, even better. That gives you more space to grow. That gives you more control over your own pace. That removes the pressure to perform and lets you focus on progress. There's strength in restraint. When you decide not to share, you're exercising control. You're taking ownership of your growth. You're saying, this is mine. This matters to me. I don't need to talk about it. I just need to do it. That's rare. That's powerful. And that's exactly what builds lasting change. It's easy to get caught up in explaining yourself, but the more time you spend explaining, the less time you have to build. Habits aren't made in public. They're built in repetition. They're built in decision. They're built in those quiet minutes where you choose your future over your feelings. They don't need a statement. They need effort. You want to change your life. Change your habits. You want to change your habits. Start now. And don't tell anyone. Keep it between you and the work. Keep it between you and your future self. That's where it belongs. That's where it grows. That's where it becomes permanent. And that's when people start to notice. Not because you said it, but because it shows. Number 4. Earn your progress in silence through daily work. The only way you move forward in life is by doing the work when no one is clapping. The progress you want does not come from one big move or one loud announcement. It comes from quiet effort. It comes from the decision you make when you wake up tired but choose discipline anyway. It comes from keeping your head down and doing what needs to be done again and again. You don't have to explain that. You just need to do it. Every inch you gain comes from the time you put in when no one is asking you how it's going. That's where real growth takes place. When you work in silence, you give yourself the space to grow without comparison. You're not chasing someone else's timeline. You're not rushing to impress. You're simply putting in the time. And time is the real ingredient. Time with effort, time with intention. That combination produces change, not noise. And the best part is, when you keep it quiet, your mind stays clear. There's no pressure to prove. There's no anxiety over what people think. It's just you and your goal. That's a powerful place to be. Progress doesn't need an audience. It needs consistency. You don't earn results by talking about them. You earn them by showing up when it's boring, when it's hard, when it would be easier to wait. That's what separates people who improve from people who stay the same. It's not motivation. It's not information. It's the daily action. The choice to show up again and again without waiting for inspiration. That kind of work shapes you. It molds your habits, sharpens your thinking, and builds your confidence. Some people spend more time sharing their goals than working on them. They want others to see their ambition. But ambition means nothing without action. No one is going to do it for you. You can't outsource discipline. You can't delegate self-control. That has to come from within. And the only way you build it is by putting in effort every single day, even when no one sees it. Especially then, there's a deep kind of respect you earn with yourself when you do what you said you would do. You begin to trust yourself. That's what builds belief. Not speeches, not declarations, but discipline. You go to bed tired because you earned it. You sleep well because you know you gave your best. You don't need anyone else to say it. You know it inside. That's real satisfaction. It's personal. It's honest. And it doesn't fade. Daily work is not glamorous. It's routine. It's often repetitive. But that's where mastery is found. It's in the repetition, in the details, in the commitment to improve just a little each day. Over time, that adds up. It builds something solid, something real, something that can't be faked. And no one can take that from you, because you didn't get it from attention. You earned it in silence. You're not doing this to prove anything to the world. You're doing it to become the person you know you're capable of being. That requires work when it's inconvenient. It requires pushing through moments when nothing is happening. No one is cheering. No one is asking. That's when the process tests you. And if you pass that test, you come out stronger. You come out with habits that serve you, with routines that protect you, with discipline that keeps you moving even when life gets hard. Progress doesn't respond to noise. It responds to effort. Every time you choose to put in the work, you send a message to yourself. This matters. I'm serious about this. That message is more powerful than any post, any conversation, any announcement, because it sticks with you. It becomes part of your mindset. You stop needing motivation because your identity shifts. You're no longer someone who tries. You're someone who follows through. Your path is your own. Don't waste time trying to explain it. Let your work explain it. Let your results show it. Let your consistency prove it. You don't need recognition to do something meaningful. You need patience. You need focus. You need the ability to come back tomorrow and do it again, whether you feel like it or not. That's where the progress comes from. That's how you build something that lasts. People may wonder where you've been. That's fine. You're working. People may ask why you've changed. That's good. You're growing. You don't owe explanations. You owe effort. And the more you put into the work, the less you need to talk about it. It becomes part of you. It becomes your standard. And standards don't need to be announced. They show up in how you move, how you speak, how you live. Daily work builds strength. Not the kind of strength people see in one moment, but the kind that holds steady over time. The kind that helps you make the right choice when it's difficult. The kind that keeps you from quitting when things get quiet, when no one's watching, when progress feels slow. That's when strength matters most. And that's when daily work pays off. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. There's a kind of pride that comes from effort. Not pride in being better than anyone else, but pride in knowing you gave it your best. In knowing you stayed the course. In knowing you didn't cut corners. That kind of pride is internal. It doesn't need a stage. It doesn't need to be seen. It just needs to be earned. Through action. Through commitment. Through showing up again today. Even when yesterday was hard. You have the ability to grow beyond what you've done before. But that growth is not automatic. It's not given. It's earned. You have to do the work. Every single day, you have to make the small decisions that add up. The ones no one sees. The ones no one praises. But you do them anyway. Because your future depends on it. Your progress depends on it. Your confidence depends on it. Silence gives you freedom. Freedom to experiment. Freedom to fail. Freedom to start over without judgment. And that freedom allows you to stay focused on what actually matters. Not attention, not performance, but improvement. Every day you show up and give your full effort, you get closer. Even if the result doesn't show up right away, the progress is happening. Quietly, deeply, steadily. You won't always feel like working. That's normal. You won't always see fast results. That's expected. But if you keep showing up, if you keep putting in the work, if you keep your focus on action over approval, you will grow. And that growth will be earned. Fully, quietly, honestly, without shortcuts, without applause, just you and the work. And that is more than enough. Number 5. Train your mind to need no outside approval. If you want to live your life on your terms, you must reach a point where your direction is no longer controlled by what people think about you. That shift doesn't happen automatically. You train for it. You work on it. You choose it. Approval from others might feel good for a moment, but it does not build the foundation you need for a solid life. It's like chasing wind. It comes and goes. And if you base your decisions on it, you'll spend your life running in circles, always needing someone to tell you you're doing okay. That is not freedom. That is not strength. That is dependence. The real power is in training your mind to say, I know why I'm doing this. And that's enough. You don't need applause when your reasons are strong. You don't need permission when your path is clear. The people around you might not understand what you're working on. They might not see your vision. That's okay. They don't need to. It's not their job to believe in your mission. It's yours. And if you wait for everyone to agree before you move, you'll never move. You'll stay stuck in the cycle of hesitation, and life is too short for that. You train your mind to be independent by choosing silence over seeking. You don't need to post your every move. You don't need to hear praise to keep going. You don't need to explain your motives to people who don't walk in your shoes. That's maturity. That's discipline. That's how you build a mindset that serves you. The truth is, people will approve of you one day and question you the next. You cannot control that, but you can control how much power you give it. You can choose to move forward even when it's quiet, even when nobody's clapping. You start to grow in real ways when you begin trusting your own voice. When you start making decisions based on what matters to you, not what gets you approval. Most people never reach that point because they fear disapproval. They fear being misunderstood. They fear being judged. But the cost of living for other people's approval is far greater. It takes your energy, your peace, and your time. You lose who you are in trying to please people who will never be satisfied. That's not the life you want. That's not the person you want to be. Strength starts in your thinking. The thoughts you choose every day create the path you walk. If your thoughts are always tied to the opinions of others, you will never be free. You will second-guess yourself at every step. But if your thoughts are focused, firm and self-directed, you'll find a sense of control that very few people have. You'll stop asking if your work is good enough. You'll stop hoping someone validates your progress. You'll know the value because you're the one building it. You don't have to wait for people to notice your growth. You don't have to ask for permission to change. You don't need anyone's sign-off to build the life you want. You can start now, quietly, decisively. That is where freedom begins. When you stop being controlled by the outside world, you begin to create from a deeper place. A place that doesn't shake when people criticize. A place that doesn't slow down when people doubt. You train that place with repetition, with choices, with a refusal to let opinions shape your direction. It's not about ignoring people. It's about no longer depending on them. You can respect someone's thoughts without basing your value on them. You can listen without letting it steer you off course. That balance is what you're aiming for. That mindset keeps you steady. And when the world gets noisy, that mindset protects your energy. You won't be pulled in every direction. You'll move with intention, with clarity, with purpose. Not everyone will see what you see. Not everyone will support what you're building. Some will doubt you. Some will question you. Some will ignore you. That's not a sign to stop. That's a reminder to stay focused. You are not building your future for their approval. You are building it for your purpose, for your mission, for the impact you want to make. That vision must be strong enough to stand on its own. Because when times get hard, approval won't help you. It will vanish, but purpose will carry you. When you start building that inner stability, everything changes. You don't fear rejection. You don't shrink when people disapprove. You don't fall apart when people don't cheer. You move anyway. That mindset gives you freedom. It gives you peace. It gives you the ability to lead yourself. That's rare. That's valuable. That's the kind of strength that doesn't show up overnight. It's built in the quiet hours, when no one is watching, when it's just you and your choices. Approval seeking is a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. You replace it with a new habit, checking in with yourself, asking yourself the hard questions. Are you living with integrity? Are you following through? Are you proud of your effort today? These questions matter far more than how many people agree with you. And when your answers are honest and strong, you no longer need to ask the world what it thinks, because you already know. The people who do the most in life are often the ones who stopped asking for applause. They didn't waste energy trying to impress. They didn't wait to be understood. They stayed locked in. They trusted their decisions. They did the work. And they allowed time to speak on their behalf. That's what you're aiming for. A mindset that stands on its own. Not because it's stubborn. Not because it doesn't care. But because it knows the cost of relying on approval. You deserve to live with confidence that doesn't come from likes or attention. You deserve to feel proud of your work, even when no one notices. That kind of confidence comes from doing the work when it's hard, from keeping promises to yourself, from showing up even when you feel uncertain. That's how you train your mind to be steady, to be grounded, to be free from the need for praise. You do this every day. Every decision to keep going without validation is part of the training. Every time you silence the need for feedback, you grow stronger. Every moment you keep building without showing it off, you gain power. Quiet power, internal power, the kind of power that doesn't depend on outside forces. And that power becomes your foundation. When your mind no longer needs approval to take action, you become unstoppable. You don't hesitate. You don't wait. You act. You follow through. You adapt. That's how progress happens. That's how growth becomes permanent. When your fuel is internal, no one can take it away from you. That kind of mindset is earned, and it's worth everything. Number 6, grow stronger. Quietly, by staying away from noise. There's a kind of strength that doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show off. It grows steadily when no one is watching. If you want to develop that kind of strength, you have to step back from the noise. You have to stop looking around and start looking within. Noise is anything that pulls you off your focus. It can come from people, distractions, updates, opinions, and constant chatter that fills your head with things that don't help you grow. When you stay in the noise, you're reacting all the time. Your energy gets split. Your thinking becomes cloudy. Your direction becomes unclear. When you choose to distance yourself from that noise, you begin to create space for clarity. You hear your own thoughts. You recognize what you need to change. You stop chasing what's trending and start building what's lasting. That's where your power grows. Not in talking, not in proving, in the silence of your effort, in the calm of your actions. Strength comes when you stop entertaining every opinion, every comment, every distraction. It comes when you give your full attention to your development and nothing else. Staying away from noise is not about isolation. It's about intention. It's about choosing what you allow into your mental space. Some people think they need to be everywhere, do everything, and respond to everyone. But that way of living drains you. You end up tired, not productive. You end up distracted, not effective. You have to decide what matters and block out what doesn't. You don't owe your attention to things that do not serve your growth. You owe it to your goals, your standards, your future. You can't grow if you're always plugged into everything. Growth requires concentration. It demands patience. It needs consistency. You don't find those things in the middle of noise. You find them in silence. In the moments when you unplug. In the hours when you step back. That's when your discipline strengthens. That's when you stop looking for stimulation and start developing focus. The kind of focus that lets you build your habits. The kind that makes you unshakable. That only comes when you stop entertaining what doesn't move you forward. We live in a time where people confuse visibility with value. They think if it's loud, it must matter. But some of the most valuable things grow in silence. Think about your character. It's not built in public. It's built in the dark when you make hard decisions that no one sees. That's where discipline forms. That's where real change happens. And if you want that kind of change, you have to be willing to leave the noise behind. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is the price of growth. You don't get stronger by staying comfortable. You get stronger by choosing what's necessary over what's easy. It's not easy to turn down the noise. The world pulls at you. People want your time. Platforms want your attention. But you have to ask yourself, what are you feeding your mind every day? Are you filling it with things that help you move, or things that slow you down? You get to choose. You can fill it with constant comparison, or you can fill it with intentional work. You can scroll through other people's lives, or you can build your own. You can listen to gossip, or you can listen to your goals. But you can't do both. You either grow or you stay stuck in noise. Quiet doesn't mean weakness. It means control. It means you no longer react to everything. You no longer need to explain yourself to everyone. You no longer seek attention for every move you make. You just do the work. Quietly, consistently, and that work changes you. Not in one big moment, but day after day, step after step. You wake up a little stronger. You see things more clearly. You begin to separate yourself from the chaos around you. That's growth. That's real. Noise will tempt you. It will try to pull you back into old patterns. It will try to convince you that you're missing out. But you have to remember, growth isn't about being everywhere. It's about being where it matters. It's about showing up where your energy counts. You don't have time to get caught in things that bring no return. You don't need to respond to every voice. You don't need to participate in every conversation. Not every message deserves your attention. Not every update deserves your time. You're here to build something solid. That requires focus. That requires stillness. You must protect your space. That means learning to say no. That means knowing what to ignore. That means choosing solitude when you need it. Not because you're hiding, but because you're preparing. That's what people don't always understand. Growth looks boring from the outside, but inside everything is changing. Your mind is getting sharper. Your habits are getting stronger. Your direction is getting clearer. That's the kind of progress that lasts. And it doesn't need to be broadcasted. You don't grow by explaining. You grow by acting. You don't develop discipline by talking about it. You develop it by practicing it. In the small moments. In the decisions that no one sees. You keep showing up. You keep learning. You keep adjusting. That's what makes you stronger. Not the noise. Not the attention. The effort. The commitment. The quiet wins that no one celebrates. That's where the real transformation happens. When you stay away from the noise, you also protect your peace. You create room for calm, for thinking, for reflection. That peace lets you recover. It lets you reset. It helps you stay balanced. In a world that's always moving, your ability to stay still is a gift. It gives you an edge. It makes you different. It makes you powerful. Because while others are distracted, you're building. While others are performing, you're preparing. While others are caught up in what doesn't matter, you're locked in on what does. Strength is quiet. Growth is patient. Progress is often invisible until it's undeniable. You don't need the noise to validate your journey. You don't need constant feedback to know you're improving. You just need to keep showing up. Keep doing the hard things. Keep saying no to what distracts you. That's how you grow stronger. That's how you build a foundation that doesn't break. It's not about being seen. It's about being solid. Solid in your values. Solid in your habits. Solid in your vision. Stay away from the noise. Guard your focus. Respect your time. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Necessary for your peace. Necessary for your development. Necessary for your long-term success. This is how you grow. Not by being loud, but by being clear. By being steady. By being committed. Number 7. Discipline your actions without chasing attention. Discipline is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. But its strength comes not from display. It comes from consistency. The people who accomplish the most are not always the loudest. They're not trying to get noticed. They're too busy working. When you truly want to grow, you stop caring about who's watching. You stop needing recognition to take the next step. You focus on the actions you can control. You stick to your routine. You wake up and you follow through. Not because someone is clapping for you, but because that's who you've decided to become. Attention can be addictive. It feels good to be seen. It feels good to be praised. But when you begin to rely on attention to stay disciplined, you become weak without it. You start depending on others to keep your standards high. You give your power away. That kind of discipline doesn't last. Real discipline is built on purpose. It comes from knowing what you want and being willing to work for it, whether people notice or not. You don't need permission to keep going. You don't need a crowd to validate your commitment. Your reasons must be stronger than your need to be seen. When you discipline your actions, you take ownership of your behavior. You set the standard and you stick to it. You show up when it's uncomfortable. You follow through when it's inconvenient. You stay grounded when your feelings shift. This kind of discipline builds strength inside you that no one can take away. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. It's about being the kind of person who chooses effort over excuses every single day. That kind of strength doesn't shout. It doesn't show off. It just keeps showing up. Many people start something with good intentions. They're excited. They tell everyone what they're going to do. They post about their plans. But when the excitement fades, their discipline disappears. Why? Because they were chasing attention, not results. They were more focused on being seen than being solid. If you want to last, you must move in silence. You must build without broadcasting. You must learn to love the process more than the praise. That's how you become unstoppable. When your discipline becomes personal, it becomes permanent. The truth is, most of the work that transforms you will happen when no one's watching. No spotlight, no applause, just you and your choices. Just you and your standards. You decide to eat right. You decide to train your mind. You decide to stay consistent. And you do it over and over, even when it feels slow, even when there's no result yet. That's where real discipline lives, in the ordinary moments, in the small wins, in the actions that build momentum slowly over time. When you stop chasing attention, your focus sharpens. You stop worrying about opinions. You stop comparing your progress to others. You tune into what you're building. You stay grounded in your routine. You make time for growth. You protect your energy. You say no more often. And that's when discipline starts to run deep. It's no longer just a behavior. It becomes your way of living. You no longer wait to feel motivated. You act because it's what you committed to. That shift changes everything. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop giving your future away for short-term comfort. This kind of strength is rare because it takes patience. It takes trust in the long game. And most people want quick recognition. They want results yesterday. But if you can train yourself to work in silence, if you can stay committed without needing a reaction, then you become dangerous in the best way. You're not swayed by noise. You're not moved by opinions. You just do the work. Day after day. No drama. No hype. Just discipline. Ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Is it for growth? Is it to improve your life? Is it to honor your potential? If the answer is yes, then you don't need to tell anyone. You just need to live it. You just need to show up when it's time. And when others are busy talking about what they'll do, you'll already be doing it. When others are chasing praise, you'll be collecting progress. Not everything needs an announcement. Not every action needs an audience. Some of your best work will happen in silence. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. Learn to delay recognition. Learn to sit with the quiet. Learn to become comfortable with being overlooked. That's where your power grows. Because when you don't need anyone to push you, you become unstoppable. When you don't depend on likes or applause, your focus becomes unbreakable. When you don't seek credit, you build for impact, not image. You move with purpose, not for performance. Discipline is the decision to stay the course, no matter who's watching. It's doing the thing today because you said you would, not because it feels good. It's holding yourself to a high standard when no one's checking in. It's being honest with yourself when you slip. It's adjusting, not quitting. It's taking full responsibility for your time, your energy, your results. And that's a rare thing. But it's what separates the few who build something real from the many who only talk about it. Chasing attention distracts you. It shifts your focus from action to image. And the more you care about being seen, the more you'll compromise your growth. You'll start choosing what looks good over what works. You'll choose what's easy over what's right. You'll say yes to the wrong things to stay liked. That's a trap, and it robs you of progress. But when you focus only on discipline, you start choosing what serves your future. You say no to shortcuts. You say yes to structure. You build routines. You create habits. You remove temptations. And every small decision adds up. Discipline isn't built by chance. It's built by structure. By waking up with a plan. By protecting your morning. By setting rules for your evening. By making tough decisions daily. It's what you do when you feel tired. It's what you do when no one is around. It's what you do when it would be easier to skip. And you do it anyway. Not for likes. Not for applause. But because your life depends on it. Your future is built by the things you repeat, not the things you announce. There's power in becoming reliable to yourself. When you know you'll follow through, you gain confidence. When you know your actions match your standard, you gain pride. And when you know you don't need to chase attention, you gain freedom. The freedom to work at your pace. The freedom to grow in private. The freedom to live by your values. Attention is fleeting. Discipline is forever. Protect your discipline. Guard it like it matters, because it does. It decides the direction of your life. It decides whether you rise or stay stuck. Don't waste it on things that don't matter. Don't trade it for empty validation. You have work to do. You have potential to reach. And none of that requires attention.
It requires action. It requires effort. It requires standards.
Every single day. That's how you get there. Quietly, strongly, with discipline. Number 8, achieve your dreams by showing results, not talk. Most people spend too much time talking about what they're going to do. They say they have big plans. They say they want change. They go around telling everyone about their next move, their next big step. But when the time comes to act, they hesitate. They delay. They get distracted. What they don't realize is this: dreams are not achieved through talk. Dreams are built by showing up and doing the work, not once or twice, but every single day. Words don't move the needle. Results do. The world is full of people who talk big and act small. That's the problem. The more energy you spend trying to impress people with your plans, the less energy you have left to execute them. And slowly, that pattern of talking more than doing becomes a habit. It starts to feel good to announce things. You like the attention. You like the recognition. But what happens when your actions can't keep up with your words? You lose respect. You lose trust in yourself. You begin to see the gap between what you say and what you do. And that gap keeps you stuck. If you really want to achieve something, hold your energy for the work. Use that drive to take one step forward, then another, then another. Don't worry about proving anything to anyone. You don't need to convince people you're serious. You just need to be serious. When you're fully committed, you don't waste time explaining. You just act. And over time, your consistency speaks louder than anything you could have said. You walk into a room, and people feel your presence. Not because you announced your plans, but because your results are real. There's a deep sense of power in being able to stay quiet and build. When you're focused on the outcome, not the image, you stop needing to share every detail. You stop seeking validation from others. You trust your direction. You trust your timing. You understand that the only thing that truly matters is progress. It doesn't need a spotlight. It needs your effort. It needs your focus. It needs your discipline. Talk can be a trap. It can fool you into feeling like you've done something just by saying it. But dreams require action. They require patience. They require commitment. When it's boring, when it's slow, when no one claps for you. The strongest people I know don't go around telling everyone what they're up to. They're too busy executing. They're too busy improving. They're too busy building something real. That's where your energy should go. Into the actions that move you forward. Into the choices that align with who you want to become. And the more time you spend doing, the less you'll feel the need to talk. Because you'll be filled with a quiet kind of pride. A knowing that you're building something that matters. Even if no one sees it yet. You don't need permission to start. You don't need applause to continue. You need a reason. You need clarity. You need self-respect. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, you prove to yourself that your dreams are worth it. You prove that your goals are more important than your ego. And that's a powerful shift. Because when you stop talking and start acting, your confidence grows from a real place, not from likes or attention, but from discipline. That kind of confidence can't be taken away. It's earned. It's built. It's solid. People respect consistency more than talk. They may not notice at first. They may not believe in you yet. But when you keep going, when you stay the course despite doubt, despite delay, they eventually see the results. And by then you won't need their validation. You'll already know who you are. You'll already have proof that you're capable, that you followed through, that you stayed grounded, that you earned every step you climbed. When you build in silence, you grow stronger inside. You stop getting distracted by noise. You stop chasing reactions. You tune into your own standard. You push yourself because you made a promise. And every time you act in line with that promise, you gain power. You become the kind of person who doesn't need to talk about their future. They build it quietly, relentlessly, without seeking attention, without needing approval. That's where strength lives. That's where dreams are achieved. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel inspired. But when you've trained yourself to act, regardless of mood, you become dangerous. Not to others, but to your excuses, to your old habits, to the part of you that used to quit. That's the real battle, not against other people, but against the voice inside that says not today. When you answer that voice with action, again and again your life starts to shift. Not overnight, but steadily. Your health improves, your thinking sharpens, your results grow, and you realize you never needed to talk. You just needed to do. Every day is a chance to either take a step or stand still. And you don't need to make noise when you step. Just make it count. Do something real. Track your progress. Set your focus. Block out distractions. Stick to your plan. And when it gets hard, remind yourself that your dream deserves more than empty words. It deserves sacrifice. It deserves energy. It deserves silence. If that's what it takes to stay focused. The world is full of opinions. Everyone has something to say. But what do your actions say? What does your calendar show? What do your habits reveal? That's where your truth lives. You can't fake consistency. You can't fake effort. You can't fake discipline. So stop trying to convince others you're committed. Show yourself first. Build evidence. Stack wins. Let the results speak when the time is right. In a noisy world, silence is power. Quiet commitment is rare. You become someone different. When you stop needing to be seen, you start to own your time. You protect your vision. You make real progress. That's how dreams are achieved. Not through talk, but through action. Repeated long enough to become unshakable. You want real success. Make your routine your loudest voice. Make your results your proof. Let your actions introduce you before your words ever try. Number 9. Rise every day without needing public support. Every single morning is an opportunity. It doesn't matter what the world is doing, what the trends are, or whether anyone else believes in you. You have the power to rise, regardless of the applause, the recognition, or the external validation. It's easy to think that your success depends on other people's opinions or encouragement. You might want the likes, the praise, the comments that tell you you're on the right track. But if you're waiting for external support to fuel your drive, you're giving away your power. The truth is, no one else can get you out of bed. No one else can make you act. No one else can move your feet forward. You are the one who has to rise. You are the one who has to decide to take the next step. Every day you wake up, the choice is yours. The choice to move, the choice to grow, the choice to build, and the choice to act, without needing anyone to cheer you on. That kind of strength doesn't come from seeking validation. It comes from self-respect. It comes from the inner knowing that you are the only person responsible for your progress. Relying on public support is like relying on external circumstances to feel good about yourself. It's fleeting, unreliable, and often short-lived. People are busy with their own lives. They may or may not notice your hard work. They may or may not appreciate your hustle. They may or may not be around when you need them. If you are waiting for their approval to keep going, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. Instead of hoping for support, become your own source of motivation. Find strength in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Build habits that don't need applause. Show up for yourself, not because someone else told you to, but because you believe in what you are doing. The moment you start relying on public support, you also start relying on their judgment. You become vulnerable to their doubts, their insecurities, their criticisms, and their opinions. People may tell you it's not possible. They may tell you to slow down, to rest, to stop dreaming so big. If you depend on that support, you will end up questioning yourself every time the world doesn't see your vision. But when you rise each day, regardless of what others think, your confidence becomes unshakable. You begin to build resilience, knowing that the only person whose opinion matters is yours. This is the kind of strength that separates the dreamers from the achievers. It's the difference between having a vision and waiting for others to see it, and having a vision and making it a reality without needing anyone to approve of it. It's about walking with purpose, even when no one else is walking beside you. It's about keeping your head down and focusing on your work, even when there's no audience to acknowledge it. The best success stories are the ones built in silence, not the ones built on public approval. You have to rise every day for yourself. You have to rise even when it feels like no one is watching, because eventually, when the work speaks for itself, people will notice. Every day you get up, you're planting seeds. Sometimes you won't see the results immediately. Sometimes the fruits of your labor will take months or even years to show. But each day you rise, you are creating momentum, and that momentum will carry you to your goals. The key is to stay consistent, to get up no matter what, and to keep going. Don't wait for someone else to tell you that it's time to push. Don't wait for others to tell you that your work matters. Know deep down that every step you take is valuable. You are building the foundation for your future, and you don't need anyone else's support to make it happen. Your growth is not dependent on what others think of you. It is dependent on your ability to show up day after day, even when it's hard. You don't need to be celebrated every time you make progress. You don't need to share every little win. Keep your energy focused on your goals, not on other people's reactions. When you learn to rise for yourself, you stop measuring your worth by the opinions of others. Your confidence starts to come from within. It's not based on whether or not someone praises you. It's based on your commitment to your purpose. Some days will be harder than others. Some days you'll feel like giving up. Some days you'll wonder if it's all worth it. But in those moments, remember that the most important thing is to keep going. Rise every day, even when the path feels unclear. Rise every day, even when the progress feels slow. Rise every day, because the person who succeeds is the person who refuses to stop. And when you learn to rise without needing external validation, your internal power grows stronger. You realize that you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to, without needing anyone else's approval. You don't need the spotlight to achieve your dreams. You don't need a cheering crowd to remind you to keep going. You don't need others to tell you when to rise, because you already know. You rise because you have a vision. You rise because you have a vision. You rise because you believe in your purpose. You rise because you are committed to becoming the person you know you are meant to be. In the quiet moments, when it's just you and your goals, you find the strength to keep pushing. In the moments when no one is watching, you create your path. In the moments when no one is clapping, you keep moving forward, knowing that your success will speak louder than any applause. Rise every day, without needing anyone to tell you to do so. You have everything you need within you to make it happen. You have everything you need to keep moving, to keep growing, and to keep achieving. Your success starts with you. It starts with your decision to rise, no matter what. Number 10. Win in life by keeping your path private. Life isn't about seeking attention. It's not about flaunting your progress or sharing every step you take. It's about staying focused on what's important to you and protecting your vision with the highest level of discretion. The world will always have opinions, distractions, and unsolicited advice. But your journey is yours alone. Keeping your path private is not about hiding who you are, but rather about staying true to your goals without letting others interfere with your focus. When you keep your journey to yourself, you guard your energy and give yourself the space to grow without outside interference. When you announce your plans, the noise starts. People start commenting, advising, questioning, and criticizing. Everyone has an opinion, and while some may mean well, their input can easily cloud your judgment and distract you from the steps you need to take. The world will tell you what it thinks is best, but it's only you who truly knows your direction, your passion, and your dreams. The more you share your plans with others, the more you open yourself up to doubt, uncertainty, and unnecessary opinions. Protect your peace by choosing to keep your intentions private, allowing you to focus more on doing than talking. There's power in quiet progress. Think about it for a moment. The people who truly achieve remarkable things are often the ones who do it under the radar. They focus their energy on their work, not on gaining attention for every little move they make. They don't waste time justifying their decisions or explaining themselves. They don't announce their next big step on social media or ask for validation from others. They simply act and let their results speak for themselves. This is the essence of success. Not the noise or the hype, but the steady, quiet, consistent effort that leads to real change. When you keep your path private, you create a powerful space for growth. You give yourself the freedom to fail without judgment, to experiment without fear, and to adjust without others trying to steer you in different directions. You are free to make mistakes without worrying about being criticized or ridiculed. You are free to evolve without feeling the pressure of public expectations. The more you keep to yourself, the more you cultivate a mindset that is focused entirely on your goals and your journey. The less you share, the more space you have to achieve without distractions. People who constantly announce their plans to the world often feel the need to prove something. They're seeking validation, acknowledgement, and approval. But here's the truth. True success doesn't need to be validated by others. It doesn't require praise or recognition. It stands on its own merit. The moment you stop seeking external approval is the moment you free yourself from the distractions that prevent you from succeeding. When you share everything, you invite opinions, and the problem with other people's opinions is that they're often based on their own fears, insecurities, and experiences. They don't always align with your dreams or vision. And when you let those opinions influence you, you begin to doubt yourself, your ability, and your direction. Keeping your path private doesn't mean you're not open to support. It means you're intentional about who and what you let into your space. Your inner circle should be people who respect your boundaries and support your vision without trying to control it. The world is full of distractions, opinions, and judgments. People will always have something to say about your decisions, your pace, your methods. But the less you share, the fewer opportunities you give for negativity to seep in. You have to protect your energy from those who aren't aligned with where you're going. Your vision is your own, and no one can see the full picture except you. It's crucial that you hold on to that clarity. When you're secretive about your goals, you also keep your plans close to your heart, giving them the room to flourish without the pressure of others' expectations. You are not bound by the reactions of others. You work quietly, steadily, and relentlessly, not to impress others, but to honor your personal commitment. It's the small, quiet wins that accumulate over time and lead to massive success. The more you keep things private, the more you allow yourself to be consistent, to stay grounded, and to move forward without worrying about how others perceive your progress. Keeping your path private also teaches you to trust yourself. You don't need to seek constant reassurance or ask for permission to follow your own path. You don't need anyone else to give you permission to dream big, to start something new, or to go after what you want. You have everything you need within yourself. When you stop broadcasting your plans to everyone, you stop seeking their approval. You start relying on your own judgment, trusting your instincts, and taking bold actions that align with your true desires. It's not always easy to keep your plans private, especially when the world is constantly sharing and announcing everything. But remember, those who are genuinely achieving their dreams are not spending their time announcing it to everyone else. They are putting in the work, taking action, and letting the results speak for themselves. They know that the journey is long and filled with challenges, and that's okay. They don't need to explain themselves or justify their actions. They simply show up, do the work, and grow quietly in the background. The most successful people understand the power of quiet growth. They know that the less they talk about their journey, the more they can focus on what really matters. By keeping your path private, you can stay in control of your narrative. You aren't concerned with competing with others or measuring your success against someone else's. You're simply focused on making progress, one step at a time. Think about your own dreams. How often do you announce them to the world? How many people do you share your goals with? The next time you feel the urge to talk about your plans, ask yourself if it will help you reach your goals or if it will just invite unnecessary distractions. Your path is personal, and it's worth protecting. Keep your vision clear, your goals focused, and your journey private. In doing so, you'll create the space needed to achieve greatness without the weight of outside influence. The greatest victories are won by those who are focused, disciplined, and quiet in their pursuit of success.